relationships. This is the Couples Academy Show.
Well, good morning, everyone. Welcome to the Couples Academy Show. My name is Hassani. I think you guys know that, but we have an unfamiliar face, but soon will become familiar. This is Lakeisha Hines. She's a part of the Couples Academy team, one of the practitioners that we have. She's one of the lead marriage counselors that many of our couples work with and experience a tremendous amount of transformation. Welcome to the show, Lakeisha. How are you?
I'm doing great. How are you?
Doing phenomenal. Listen, guys, we're in a series. You know, if you've been watching the show, we're talking about Before You Cheat. This is a 4-part series. We are in part 3 today, and we're going to be breaking down some things that you need to know, because as you know, we talk to not just married folk, but people who are dating, people who are in a committed courtship, they're engaged, or they're married. And what we want to do is we want to give you a level of awareness of what you need to be mindful of, what you need to watch out for, what you need not do, so that you don't wind up in pain. Because, you know, once you're in that pit of pain, it takes a journey to get out of it. And so we want to have a preventative conversation today. And that's what we're here to do. So wherever you may be from, we want you to chime in. Make sure that you like, share, and subscribe. Let us know what city, what state, what country, what part of the world you are connecting with us on, so that we can acknowledge you. Listen, we just had another intensive that took place. An amazing couple who drove all the way down from Pennsylvania. As soon as the couple from Germany left, literally this amazing couple came right in. They have a powerful, powerful testimony. And, you know, from time to time, anytime somebody comes and has something that they want to share with you, we're going to allow them to do so. So take a look at this video and hear what they had to say about their experience.
Hi, I'm Debbie, and this is my husband, Jody, and we are from Schwenksville, Pennsylvania. And we came to Couples Academy because we were struggling with an affair before marriage, but we were in a relationship for 40 years.
After 40 years of marriage, I finally stopped lying and told my darling wife the truth about what had happened just a short time before we actually got married, before we were engaged. And we tried therapy, we tried a couple other things, and it didn't work for us. So as she searched around for another solution, she found Danielle and Hassani, and they spoke to her. She heard their words were aligned with her thoughts and feelings, and she said, we need to spend more time with these folks. And we did for several weeks. And we listened to The Daily Show, we listened to all the YouTube videos, and then she said, we need to call for that discovery. We need that discovery call. Let's try it, see what Hassani has to say. And within the call, we said we should go to Couples Academy Private Intensive. And we just spent the last 3 days. And as you've heard Danielle and Hassani use this word, I will use it for them. Transformation has occurred. Yes. Transformation has occurred. Even after 40 years of marriage.
Right.
We're headed to a spot where we're going to have a new marriage, and it's going to be far better.
The Couples Academy taught us a lot about ourselves, and it does. I'm not going to deny that it is a hefty price tag, but a divorce would be even a heftier price tag. So I believe that without Couples Academy, we could have been headed down that road, because I was not able to let go at all. But because I came here, and they spoke to us, and they gave us the tools, and they made us look at ourselves, not just the affair, but look at ourselves and find our strengths and weaknesses. And because of that, I was able to forgive him.
Yeah, and you can all listen to the videos just like we did. You can read the book, you can do all that. But when Hassani says there's a process and there's work to do, he's not kidding.
He's not kidding.
He's not kidding. And we've done a lot of work, and that work brought joy to my wife in her voice and in her face that I haven't seen in months. And that means everything, because that means our future is on the right path, and we're going there.
Yep.
Thank you, Hassani and Danielle.
Thank you so much.
Wow. Wow. What a powerful testimony, right? I just love it. I love it. Yeah. So when couples come and you can begin to experience, you can begin to see literally the shifts and changes and transformations that happen in real time. It's just like, man, God is working. He's doing what he does best. And I tell you, this is what we do this for, right? But I do want to mention something. From time to time, people will come on and share their testimony, and they'll say, "Listen, I just let you know it costs a lot of money, but you know what? I love how they follow it up by saying a divorce will cost you a whole lot more, right? It will cost you a whole lot more. But not only is there a financial cost with divorce, there's an emotional cost that comes along with that, a relational cost that comes along with that. It's just like the cost or the price that you have to pay for a divorce far exceeds any type of investment you can make to restore your relationship. And so that's what I love about them. And they're doing phenomenally well. And we're excited about their future. Listen, guys, we're going to jump right in to this conversation. We're talking about before you cheat, what you need to know, what you need to be aware of. And Lakeisha and I are going to tag team this thing. So we're going to go to the first point. Listen, what you need to know, you will increase your chances of getting an STD. Now, here's the deal. We grew up in school and we've taken health class, right? We've had the conversations about STDs and STIs and all the things that come along with being in a sexual relationship and it's unprotected or it's with the wrong one. And a lot of times we hear this and it's like it's in one ear, it's out the other. And it's just like, when we're in the midst of passion and we're not thinking about anything else, that's the last thing that's on our mind. Or some of us will even justify having that consequence because of what it is that we're trying to pursue. And I just need to let you know, it's not just about you getting something, but it's about how you can transfer it to your spouse. And one of the consequences of an affair happens to be a child out of wedlock. It happens to be sometimes physical violence. And in many cases, it happens to be a sexually transmitted disease. And that disease becomes a reminder of what you have done. Now, yes, you can take medications and certain things can go away, but then there are other things that never go away. It becomes a permanent reality for a particular partner. And that's like almost like a double betrayal. Even though it's a consequence of the betrayal, it feels like a double betrayal because here we go again. Why did I deserve this? I have to spend the rest of my life dealing with this. And so to avoid that, you want to avoid going down the path of an affair altogether because it just doesn't serve you. I mean, I don't know, Lakeisha, you've worked with many couples. Have you ever had that as one of the consequences of what couples have experienced when there's been an affair?
Thankfully, no. But I was just thinking, man, what a devastating way to find out that your significant other, your spouse, has been unfaithful. That you go for your yearly checkup or something, and the doctor comes back and says you have X, and you haven't been doing anything. So clearly somebody else has been doing something. I just can't even imagine the devastation that would be to find out that way. I did want to add something, if you don't mind, Hassani. I was looking up the sexually transmitted disease surveillance from 2019, and there have been, again, for the 6th consecutive year, STDs have reached an all-time high. Chlamydia is up 19% since 2015. Gonorrhea, 56% from 2015. Wow. Syphilis, 74% from 2015. So if those numbers don't make you stop and think before you step out, I don't know what will.
It's interesting because most people only tend to focus on the big ones like HIV and AIDS. Right. And even now, like, in 2021, even that has a different stigma. Before it was a death sentence. Before it was just like, oh my God, that person has AIDS. Don't touch that person. Don't breathe their air. But now people can live forever with medication. Yeah. So even the consequence of getting that for many people is just like, it is what it is. I mean, if I get it, I'll just take the medication. But the thinking, right? The thinking,
Right.
the fact that you would engage in that, knowing that that's a possible consequence and do it anyway. And to your point with your statistics, it is so high. The numbers have gone up so tremendously, but we're so cavalier in our approach to commitment and fidelity. Listen, I hope you're getting something out of this. We're going to come right back after this break. You're watching the Couples Academy show, and we have our co-host, Lakeisha Hines. Be right back. Hey guys, we're back. We're talking about Before You Cheat. We got our co-host Lakeisha Hines with us. Listen, I just want to say good morning to Clarence and Fedalina and Kat and Dee Dee and Ralph, Rick, Sabian, Monica, B. O'Neill, J.D. Pruitt, Kathy McCoy in the building, Ken Thomas, Tori Love, Kimberly Cooper. Good to see you, sis. Kimberly Cooper, good to see you. Kat says, listen, from one of his affairs 13 years ago, I got HPV that turned to stage 4 cervical cancer. Always susceptible now with frequent health checks now. Goes on to say, 98% of all people currently have a type of HPV. That's another one we didn't even mention, but that's real. That's real. And so we want to really be careful about what we do, because there are consequences. And here's the deal. Forgiveness can come. It's just like with anything. When you think about sin, God forgives us, but there are always going to be consequences. We can't escape certain consequences for the things that we do.
Well, to your point also about HIV, when you were talking about that and people saying that, hey, I can take a pill or I can take medication or whatever the case may be, but every time you go to refill that prescription, it's almost like reopening that wound of the infidelity. You're picking off that scar every time. I imagine with Kat, where she's going now, every time she goes for a health checkup, or I don't know if Kat's male or female, I can't tell, but for Kat, every time they go for a health checkup, that it's like picking the scab off that scar.
Absolutely. Without a shadow of a doubt, and staying on the consequence piece for just a second, in the book, Pimping from the Pulpit to the Pews, we have a chapter entitled Help, My Body is Yearning and My Flesh is Burning. And we talk about David and how David engaged in an affair with Bathsheba, and God forgave him, but there were consequences. In fact, the Bible spells 8 of them. It spells out 8 consequences that he suffered. Number 1, Bathsheba becomes pregnant. Number 2, David killed Uriah, Bathsheba's husband, in order to hide his sin. Consequence number 3, David and Bathsheba's baby dies shortly after its birth. Consequence number 4, David's daughter Tamar is raped by her half-brother Amnon. Consequence number 5, David's third son Absalom avenges his sister's abuse by killing Amnon. Consequence number 6, Absalom overthrows David's rule and takes the throne as king. Consequence number 7, Absalom humiliates David by sleeping with his wives and concubines. Consequence number 8, Absalom is killed in battle. And so as a result of David's one act, it resulted in 4 people being killed, 1 person raped, a number of wives forced into adultery, an entire nation overthrown. These are some serious consequences. So if you think what you do behind closed doors is nobody else's business but your own, you are sadly mistaken, because what you do can have an impact and consequences on so many other people around you. And that's what you have to be aware of before you cheat. Let's go to the second point. Lakeisha, take it away.
All right, so the grass is not greener on the other side. Not intentionally wearing green today. I want to believe that with my spouse, I am the grass. I am everything that my spouse needs. And I just wanted to point out a little bit about the color green. It actually symbolizes rebirth and renewal and immortality. And the thing is, if you're in a relationship where you feel like you need to look somewhere else, you're trying to assess whether or not the grass is greener on the other side, you got to water your own grass at home. And maybe there is something that has died in that relationship. Well, you can have a rebirth, you can have a renewal. And the whole purpose that you're tuning in here is because maybe it's time for transformation. And what does transformation mean? It literally just means change. So there's something that may need to change in your own situation. And you stepping out, looking around, looking everywhere else, you're not giving the attention that your current relationship desires, that it needs, that it requires, and it's necessary for you to water that grass right at home.
I think that's a great point because, listen, I live in a pretty nice neighborhood. And when I come in and out of my driveway and I'm looking to the left and looking to the right, the streets,
Okay.
I mean, on the street, the houses alongside of me, and I'm looking, I'm like, wow, nice grass, nice grass. They need to work on their grass. Like
I
I'm
do
seeing
that
the
too.
difference,
I do
right?
that too.
You could tell. And it's just like, man, people nurture their lawns, people care for them, people seed the
Yes.
grass, they allow the water to hit it, the sunlight to hit it. It requires maintenance. And so if your grass is not green and if you have weeds growing, the question is, are you doing what's necessary to have a wonderful lawn? Probably not. Either you're not doing something, your spouse is not doing something. Neglect has taken place, and that's why you got holes in your lawn and all types of things. So
Yes.
you can have the same grass, if you will, that others have if you
Yes.
do what they did to get what they got, right? So
Absolutely.
what's the point of
Absolutely.
wishing, hoping, wanting to exchange things? No, 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 no. Water your garden, like Lakeisha's saying, and if you begin to do that, listen, change and transformation will occur. Let's go to the third point. Oh, we just hit that. Would you want this done to you? I think oftentimes we don't think about that enough. But every time I pose the question, it's interesting. A lot of people who engage in affairs have zero tolerance if it were done to them. Like, no question about it. They're out, they're done, it's over. Just the fact of thinking about something like that happening to them grieves their soul. Yet and still, they don't think about that when they're engaged in an affair. And so, when we talk about empathy, we've used this definition before. Empathy is looking through someone else's lenses, right? Or someone else's eyes, hearing with someone else's ears, and feeling with someone else's heart. And so, one of the things that you want to think about before going down that path, what would my wife or my husband think? What would they feel? How would they react? What will the experience be for them on the other side once this does come out? I say once it comes out because there's a high probability that somehow what happens in the dark will come out into the light. And when
Yeah.
you take the time to think about the impact that it will have on others, it may stop you in your tracks. It may halt you. It may stifle your progress, if you will, in terms of going in that particular direction. So it requires being insightful. It requires thinking through things. It requires having a mind where you begin to contemplate. What happens is when we are being led by lust and desire, this mind shuts off, right? And everything we do is more instinctual and it's based upon how we feel. But feelings, being led by your feelings, will get you in trouble. You got to be very, very, very mindful of that. Man, Kat is coming. Kat has another comment. Kat is my wife. The guilt and shame from my actions weigh heavy, very heavy on my heart and mind. Before I cared, yet I didn't. Now it tears at me every waking moment and sometimes when I sleep. Well, one thing I will say, I appreciate the fact that you have remorse. There's
Yeah.
so many people, I'm sure, Lakeisha, you've seen people who just have zero remorse for what they've done. They're like unapologetic. They could care less.
But you get to this place sometimes where, again, if you're not watering your own grass, then you have a tendency to start going into your own mind, start thinking about self. You get very selfish. and you're only trying to satisfy your own wants, needs, and desires, and you're not thinking about how it may affect the other person. Because again, you've allowed something to die in that relationship, and now you just want to fix it. You just want to feel better. Whatever I got to do to feel better, that's what I'll do, and you don't think about the other person. So whenever that happens, we're not thinking, we're not using proper judgment, and we're not trying to use empathy, and we're not putting ourselves in the other person's shoes.
Absolutely. I agree with you 100%. Next point, you will eventually regret the decision. Tell me more about that one.
So again, in the heat of the moment, you're not thinking, it feels good, it feels right. You're like, yes, this is it. This is what I've been looking for. I feel alive again. But oh my gosh, eventually all of that goes away. There's this certain weight and heaviness. And, I appreciate the gentleman, was it Rick? I appreciate Rick and his comment with what he said about how now it affects him every waking moment, even in his sleep. You can't even go to sleep to get away from it. Sometimes that guilt and that shame and that heaviness is weighing on you so hard that you think, oh, if I just go to sleep, I can take my mind off of it, but it's coming to him in his dreams. So there's no way to get away from that. You definitely will regret it, and it is a domino effect, and it does affect everyone around you. And I like something that you mentioned before. I think Hassani, you and Danielle, in one of your other shows, you mentioned how it affects community and it affects the people around you. And if you are that couple that may be the like go-to couple for everybody, and they find out what happened, now that's devastating to someone else. It does affect your family, your friends, everyone around you. So it's definitely something that you will regret. You can't forget it. You can't get away from it. Obviously, there's healing and there's recovery, but why have to go through that? We're trying to catch you before you even go down this path and have to go through all this rehab work, because it's a lot.
It is a lot.
Do the work up front, do the work on the front end, so you don't have to do the work on the back end.
Exactly. Excellent point. Do the work on the front end so you're not busy doing all the work on the back end. Listen, we have time for one more break. We'll be right back. You're watching the Couples Academy show. See you in just a second. Hey guys, we're talking about before you cheat. That's our conversation for today. And we've been given these points that you need to be mindful of so that you don't go down that path. Kathy says, outstanding, great information, guys. Kathy, we appreciate you for tuning in. Zaya, forgive me for saying your name wrong. We're called to love our significant others like Christ loved the church. That is absolutely right. And we have to continue to do it. But going back to Rick's point, I think it's important for us to understand that even though he may have been the one who was unfaithful, there's a level of pain that he goes through. And I think that oftentimes, and we've said it again and again, and we want to continue to remind you that the one who may be responsible for where you are as a couple is in pain. And I think that there needs to be a better appreciation for what they go through, because your pain is different. It's not about who's in more pain. It's just different. And both of you need healing, and both of you need to be in a better place. And when you both get that personal healing, that personal transformation, it leads to your marital restoration, you know?
I think
So
that's
that
one of the things too that a lot of people don't realize also is that that both parties are in pain. And it's hard for the betrayed spouse to recognize that and understand that. What do you mean you're in pain? You did this to me, but no, they are in pain.
absolutely a tremendous amount of pain. And that actually leads to the final point we're talking about today, that sometimes, oftentimes, hopefully not all the time, but a lot of times that pain outweighs the gain. And usually we find that the pain outweighs the gain if you do nothing about it. And so at the end of the day, if I break my arm outside, where am I going? I'm going to the doctor, right? To the hospital, to the ER. I'm going to someone who can help me. Someone who knows, who can do an x-ray, who could tell me, is it broke? Is it a fracture? Do I need to put a cast on? Do I need a stent? What do I need? We're trying to DIY through our own pain, and we wonder why we're not healing. And sometimes over the course of time, the pain begins to dissipate slowly, but you may have a permanent scar or permanent, I don't know, situation because you didn't allow yourself to go through the proper healing process. And so what happens is, as you're trying to heal, you're also responsible for helping your partner heal. But then the question is, how can I help you heal if I'm not healed? And so now you have two responsibilities, yourself and your partner who's in pain because of what you've done. And so listen, let's stop trying to figure it out. One thing I love, and I think it was in that testimonial. I think it was in that testimonial earlier, and if not from them, from others, they watched the video. They've read a book. They've read an article. They've talked to a few people. They've gone to a class, and they realize that, you know what, we may have certain steps, but we certainly don't have them all. Number one, and we don't understand the process, right? There's a methodology, there's a process to go through this recovery process to heal. And if you don't go down the correct path, it will be more pain than ultimate gain. And this is not what we want for you guys. We want you to do something different. We want you to show up different. So Lakeisha, we're winding up. We're almost at the end of our show, but give them some parting words. I want you to talk to those who have not experienced this yet. They haven't experienced it, and they're looking for you to talk them off the ledge so that they don't go down that path.
Well, I was just thinking while you were talking about cancer patients and how one of the first thing our doctors say to us is that early intervention is key. And if there is something going on in your relationship where you are contemplating stepping out, you're contemplating cheating, or you've even maybe begun to have conversations or entertain someone else, stop right now. Call today, get some help, because what we need to do is identify what's missing in that current relationship, what's missing within you that maybe we can pinpoint to try to get that healed. Because really all it is that you're looking for a temporary filler of a void that's there. So we need to find something that's permanent that will help you, assist you, so that you don't make the wrong decision. Because again, this is not the way you want to go. That pain is immeasurable, and there is so much devastation that comes with it for just a few minutes of pleasure. There have been some that literally right after the act of cheating, they literally in that moment stopped and said, oh my God, what did I do? And so you don't want that feeling. You don't want to have to go through this mental and emotional anguish of how am I going to tell this person, and how do we fix it? You just don't want to do that. So if you are in that place where you're thinking about it, you need to call today and get some help. Let us help you. Let us guide you, and let us get you to the healing that you need, so that you don't have to go through this long-term, extensive healing process. So let's get some early intervention in place, so we don't have stage 4 cancer and then there's no cure for you.
Love it. I mean, I will almost pervert what she said if I say anything after that. That was the perfect way to end the show. Just call us. Go to couplesacademy.org, set up a discovery call. Let's see how we can help you in your situation. I'm gonna tell you something. Lakeisha Hines has been working with a number of our clients and doing a phenomenal job to bring about healing and restoration. And so we want you to call in so that we could see how we could be a part of your journey to take your relationship to the next level. Listen, guys, we appreciate you. We will see you tomorrow for another great episode. Make sure you share, like, and subscribe. And most importantly, talk to your partner about it. What's the point in getting all this information and you operating in your own silo and you're growing and you're developing and he or she is out? Like, bring them into the conversation so that you can begin to heal together. Love you guys. See you on tomorrow. Thank you, Lakeisha Hines. Appreciate you. And we will talk.
My pleasure. Thank you.